So welcome to this episode of ISV Talks. I am Carol Livingston from Dynamics Connections. And on this episode, I am pleased and honored to have David Musgrave, who is an MVP and also the managing director at Winthrop Development Consultants. And Winthrop Development Consultants' primary product is called GP Power Tools. You might have known it previously called the Support Debugging Tool. This is a part one of a two-part conversation. And on this episode, David shares his insights on the future of GP and how customers are discovering how to optimize their GP system with the GP Power Tools. So please welcome David. So welcome to this episode of ISV Talks. I'm Carol Livingston, and today I have David Musgrave from Winthrop Development Consultants with me. Welcome, David.
Hi, great to be here.
Well, thanks for joining. Maybe do a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah, I'm David Musgrave. I'm from Winthrop Development Consultants. I'm based on the other side of the world, down under in Perth, Western Australia. I've been in the GP world for a long time, since about 1994 with version 2 of Dynamics. And I'm recognized as a Microsoft MVP and also a GPUG All-Star, which is wonderful.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. I noticed you just won the MVP award again. So
I just got my renewal notice a couple of days ago, which is fantastic.
That's awesome. So tell us, what is the basic description of your companion products that you have for Dynamics ERPs?
So all of the products that I've created have been designed trying to make the life of the user easier and simpler. I want to reduce errors, improve efficiency. So I actually have 3 primary products, and they're all horizontal products. So they're all something that can be used by any customer. They're not related to a particular industry. The one that I'm mostly known for is GP Power Tools. Yeah, it is my primary product, and it's basically a set of tools designed for helping users use the system, administering, supporting, customizing, just making GP easier to use, quicker and simpler. It was previously known as the Support Debugging Tool and was written while I was at Microsoft. It has 3 modules, being the administrator, developer, and database tools. And it is something that I think every customer should have on their system. There is definitely something for everybody there. My other products, the Batch Posting Service Toolkit, is an API that's been created. That's an application programming interface to allow you to post batches. It also can handle the creating, editing, and deleting of batches. But the main thing about it is that it allows you to post batches with a web service call. You can also call it from Visual Studio Tools using C# or VB.NET. You can call it from Dexterity, or it can be called from GP Power Tools using a scheduled or triggered process. So you've got quite a lot of flexibility about how it's used. The final one is my Visual Studio Integration Toolkit, which is a tool that helps Visual Studio developers get access to a lot of dexterity functions that are not available normally in Visual Studio. And that includes things like creating the application menus or area pages. There's also about 200 helper functions there. It was originally known as Menus for Visual Studio Tools and has been around, I think, since version 9. It's free, and it's my gift to the GP community. It is used by many other ISVs, developers and consultants, to allow their products to work and access the GP menus.
Nice. So, well, how does your product integrate with other ISVs or other third-party companion products?
So, well, obviously they all work very nicely with Dynamics, which is something that's pretty important, but they also will be, can be used and work with ISV products. GP Power Tools in particular is fully multi-dictionary, so it works with every single dexterity product that's installed on the system. It doesn't care whether it's whose product it is, but it also has something that's quite cool, which is the company color theme functionality. Right. Is specifically designed to also allow binary streams multi-entity management to select color by the default entity.
This is great if you have lots of companies with different databases.
If you've got lots of companies, or if you've got a single company with entities. But one thing that we see a lot of people use it for is differentiating test or development systems.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if the background's a different color, you know exactly which company you're in, and you're not gonna enter a day's worth of transactions into the wrong company.
Yeah, exactly.
I have seen that happen, and I've been asked before, you know, how much effort would it be, or how much would it cost to move all those transactions? And the end result is it will cost you more for me to do it than to have somebody else re-enter it into the new company.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work involved.
Yeah. So just simply having a different color background kind of helps the user to know
that's one of the ways of avoiding errors.
Yeah,
personally,
exactly.
It looks nicer too.
Yeah, it does. So just kind of switching gears a little bit from product information, I'm kind of curious, what changes have you seen in the channel, especially this past couple of years, you know, with the pandemic, you know, COVID scare, a lot of people changed things around.
What pandemic?
Yeah, what pandemic?
Yeah, actually, we've been very lucky in Western Australia. We managed to come through it fairly well, but you know, I know it's affected a lot of other people. I think the channel itself has sort of remodeled quite a bit, and that there's been consolidation of smaller partners. The partner channel is not as many partners. I think that's also part of the way that Microsoft is pushing for larger partners or smaller partners to work together and become larger partners. We've also seen a few partners lose their focus on GP as a product, which is very disappointing because GP's got plenty of life left in it. But then the bonus is that if a partner does leave the market, there are lots of other partners who are now picking up new customers and looking after them well. I suppose on the other side of things, which is interesting, is that the pandemic itself has increased the use of technology and video conferencing. The fact that a lot of people now are teleworking, and you know, everybody has got the ability to do remote communication. It's made it a lot easier for me because I'm remote regardless, at least to the US. But I mean, other than, you know, a few customers I have directly in Perth, I would have to fly. If it's over on the East Coast, I'm flying 5 hours. And if I'm flying to the US, it's a lot longer. So the fact that we've got remote technology for video conferencing and screen sharing, that's made a big difference. So yeah. So on the downside, I haven't been to a conference or seen anybody in person for the last 2 years. And I have not been able to run any of my training classes for dexterity or other development tools. So that's sort of been disappointing. But this is something exciting. Okay. Only today, I have just booked my tickets. I am going to be heading over to the Summit Conference in Florida in October.
That's fantastic. Awesome news.
Yeah, and they've got me doing some presentations. I'm going to have an expo booth so everybody can come and see me and maybe pick up some Australian chocolate and try Vegemite because that's really good. And the other thing is I'm going to be advertising this shortly on my blog, but I will be running a 5-day dexterity bootcamp course in the week leading up to the conference. So if you've got anybody who wants to learn dexterity or understand more about how GP works, even if they don't work in dexterity and they work in other environments, if they want to understand the underlying structure of GP, that's the session you should be at. And yeah, we need to make sure I get enough people to run the course.
Well, it's kind of prior to the Summit North America. It's like the week before, or when is it?
It's the week before, so it's actually going to be the 3rd to the 7th, so the Monday to Friday prior to the conference. And then the conference, I think, starts on the 10th. So there'll be, you know, the 9th, 8th and 9th, which are the weekend, and then the conference. So, but I will post up some details on my blog, and I'll ask people to contact me to register their interest, and we'll get some people trained up in dexterity, which is a great language to learn if you're involved with GP.
You have been
Yeah,
doing some training remotely, right, on dexterity with some partners. So
I did run, yeah, I did do this. We ran the 5-day course as 10 half days with me in my evening and the partner's training in the morning. It was fairly hard work. It's I think it's a lot easier if I'm actually there in person. It's easier to see exactly what people are doing and sort of look at their screens over their shoulder, which is not so easy. So it
yeah.
worked, but I much prefer the classroom training. So
Well,
I'm
they
quite
should.
excited to do that.
So if they're interested in the training, they just need to reach out to you, or how do they sign up?
I think the best thing is initially is going to be contacting me. It'll probably be going through Dynamic Communities for some of it, contacting me to register their interest, and then we'll get it sorted. So watch my blog, and it'll all be up there.
That's probably the best way is to sign up for your blog and get the
Yep,
news feeds on that. Yeah. So,
yep.
well, I'm excited you're coming to Summit in October. So definitely come by and say hi to David. He'll be probably around the conference and the expo hall both. So I'm sure you'll see him. He usually wears his signature hat. Yeah.
Oh, I left it in the other room. I should have gone and get it.
Okay, you have to come Summit to see him in his hat and get a selfie with him.
and get some chocolate
And get some
and try
chocolate.
Vegemite.
And Vegemite. Yeah, Vegemite in a tube.
So
So,
I actually I think last time I brought 2 or 3 kilos worth of chocolate with me.
oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's
Well,
a,
everybody loves Tim Tams, and the Australian Tim Tams are better than the ones you get in the US.
oh, okay. All right. So you got to get the original, folks, if you want to get chocolate.
Hmm.
So maybe we can talk about what are some of the new things that you're introducing. I know you constantly are adding and developing and enhancing GP Power tools, which is amazing. What are you doing to introduce and add value to customers that want to optimize GP?
Yes, I am always developing. I get a lot of feedback from customers and partners with ideas, and so I'm actually right up to code complete on build 29 of GP Power Tools. So the code is ready. I'm just in the process of updating the documentation, which is one of the most annoying things that a developer has to do. I will do that, and then it will be released. It's got a whole heap of enhancements and improvements to the usability of the existing functionality. It doesn't have any major new sections, but it does everything that it can do better, and it has a whole lot of extra helper functions, and it just consolidates, adds new features to all different areas of the product. So once I get build 29 out, which should be fairly soon, I am going to pretty well start working on build 30 straight away. I have an entire new module that I've been planning, and I will be working on getting that into build 30, and that will then be that there will be a whole new module on top of the administrator database and developer tools modules. I'm also going to be working on adding some functionality to the Visual Studio Integration Toolkit. New functionality there that will allow you to create windows from Visual Studio tools. It will also allow you to use those created windows from inside GP Power Tools. So at the moment, that's a limitation that GP Power Tools can't create an entire new window. And so this will resolve that limitation. And so the two products will work in conjunction with each other to provide that. So the improvement into GP Power Tools and its development capabilities, and particularly the adding of new windows, is really important, because the VBA product that a lot of people used for simple customizations and possibly adding user forms is end of life and actually doesn't function properly on the new Windows Server platforms. So it's quite important that the users look at moving on from that. So the best thing you can do is if you go to winthropdc.com/blog and subscribe to it, you'll be able to just keep informed with any of the new releases and a whole lot of other things like sample products or sample projects that I release, and sometimes the odd funny thing and puzzles.
Yeah, puzzles. Yeah, so his blog is usually entertaining. And I know you post on your Twitter account too. So if you
Yeah,
miss
yeah.
the blog,
Everything that gets posted on the blog ends up on my the Twitter account, my LinkedIn account, and also Winthrop's Facebook page.
perfect. So just kind of going into a little bit about kind of the Microsoft roadmap for GP. So, we've
Hmm.
heard kind of the impact as far as customers looking to optimize or upgrade, right? What do they do? Should they stay with GP? Should they move? But as far as customers that want to stay, they can, right? Microsoft still is
Absolutely.
through 2028, and support is still extended beyond that. So
Yeah, definitely. So if you look at the GP is on the modern life cycle, there is actually no on the life cycle page, there is no end date. It is on the product planning. They've basically planned for up to 2028 and beyond. But yeah, the GP's got plenty of life left in it. Sadly, some of the sales teams at Microsoft have been incented, I would say, to sell the new babies, and so they have been spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and scaring partners and customers away from GP, which really frustrates me because GP is still a viable product in the long term. It's reliable, it's mature. There is a massive ecosystem with many ISV and add-on products, a lot of experienced consultants out there. And there is no reason to move off GP if it is already doing what you need. And if it's not doing what you need, then there's a good chance that you haven't implemented everything that's available. Even if you have done that, there's ISV products that will probably solve whatever requirement you have. So there is no reason that the effort to change to another ERP system is a huge amount of cost and work and disruption and retraining. There is no direct migration from GP to Business Central. It's still going to be a re-implementation. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah,
So, but
and it definitely has a lot of life in it, and a lot of partners are encouraging their customers to upgrade and get on the latest versions to try to, get
it
ahead of
is
and keep it
yeah.
compatible, right, with all the new technologies available, and Microsoft
It's
available.
definitely important to stay on the latest version, particularly now it's on the modern life cycle. You do really need to make sure that you're running the latest versions and that your ISV products are updated as well, because any fixes or enhancements are only going to be applied to that latest build, and they're not going to be rolled back to previous versions. So, for example, the changes that Microsoft made recently to logging on for email with multi-factor authentication, you'll need to be on the latest versions of GP to be able to work with that multi-factor authentication. So it is vitally important that customers keep their systems up to date, and they must be on the latest, or at the worst one version back. And if they do that, and make sure also really important is that they keep their ISV products up to date, because the ISVs quite often release on a faster cycle. I know that I definitely do. I release more often than GP does. And if you want to keep up to date with all the cool things that ISVs are doing, you need to be on their latest code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah. And I mean, one of the things that people talk about is cloud, and cloud is big. But not every partner or not every customer can go into the cloud. Not every customer wants to be in the cloud. But if you do want to be in the cloud, there's plenty of ways that GP can be hosted, in a private or even public cloud. There are also software as a service solutions from a number of different partners. So if you want to have a subscription basis, you can do that. So you've got the options. You're not missing out on anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what maybe they can take that journey of the cloud in steps, right? They can get their GP software in a hosted or platform in the cloud, and do a software as a service and get all the benefits, from that, as well as kind of continuing your business with a great piece of software that GP is. So
Yep.
I agree with that.
So yeah, I mean, I've got some customers I know who've just moved all of their servers into the cloud, and
Mm.
he reckoned he was saving himself 100,000 each year just by not having to maintain his own servers.
Nice.
But if you wanted to take it to, the subscription basis, there are, a number of SaaS partners that you can go to.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining this part one of a two-part conversation with David Musgrave from Winthrop Development Consultants. Here's David's contact information if you need to reach out to him. And on part two, David talks about his journey from Microsoft and how GP Power Tools got its start. So please join us on the next episode.